John was misled when he started photography. Why would they separate it though from this and this? There's a very good reason for it. I get you some new Magmod gear, huh? No. Well, John has abused his Magmod equipment. Hey. In any case, welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's episode, the reason I'm holding on, I'm juggling all these things in my hand is, so let's say this flash is a little too big. Let's say you're a beginner, you want to have a flash that you can use when you go out with your friends, but it doesn't seem like you're a complete nerd. I would take this, I wouldn't care. But if you don't want to look like a nerd, you want to leave this at home, maybe you want to use this little guy, which is the one that we used last time when we were shooting in this neighborhood. Really good flash, has its limitations of course, but really good. Now, one thing that we kept seeing in the comments is people were talking about, with this flash, you need a riser in order for it to not give you that shadow on the bottom when you shoot with it. So with this, you can't tilt it up. You can't, you're gonna get that little shadow at times. There's a way to mitigate it, but that was kind of one of the bigger things that people were mentioning about this. John, if you don't mind holding that. Yep. This right here is like the happy medium. This is the iT32. Not necessarily a happy medium because this is still more powerful. I think this is like 76 watts. This is somewhere, we're gonna put it on the bottom how many it is exactly. I think it's around 20 something, but I could be wrong. And this is something that we're gonna play around with. There are a lot of, here, let's get rid of that. We're not gonna litter. I'm gonna put this in my pocket. You see that? You see that, Long Beach? I'm taking care of you. This thing is really, really nifty. Right now, I have it in transmitter mode, which means this will fire other flashes. But before I do that, let's put it in just regular manual mode. So this is just regular manual. It's touchscreen, just like all these other flashes that have been coming out. So you see 1/128th all the way to full power. When you hit it, you see recycling is immediate at 1/128th. At 1/1, recycling time takes a little bit longer, but not a terrible amount. So, we'll put on the bottom exactly what the recycling time is on 1/1, because I don't remember off the top of my head. That's in complete manual mode. You can also, how do you change this bitch into TTL? Because we never use TTL. There it is. So you scroll down, you hit there, multi TTL. There we go. Now you can be a complete noob. And no, I'm joking, guys. No, but there it is. It's TTL, and you can do minus, plus, however you want to customize that when you're shooting. For us, we always shoot in manual mode. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just how we like to do things. So there's that. Here is the kicker. The biggest thing about this flash that I really, really like, and I'm not just saying this, if I were starting with photography, like back in the day when we were starting out, if you were to buy a flash off of eBay, because that was your only recourse back in the day, it would be like $130 for a flash that was from the 80s that was already broken. Then you would need, not broken, but it would not be in perfect condition. Then you would need a pocket wizard, which was 150 bucks. Then you would need another pocket wizard, which is another 150 bucks. We're talking about what, like three, almost $400 for a setup.
Hang down, connected to each other.
And if you live in a place with humidity, it would always act up because the wires, if there was any humidity there, it would not fire, it would misfire, it would just stop working. So all those things, and you're spending $400 or $500 on a used flash just to get you started. The reason I bring that up is because if I'm shooting with this flash, it's $98 for the whole unit with the little party piece I haven't shown you guys. Without this little piece, that alone I think is like 70 bucks or something like that. Why would they separate it though from this and this? There's a very good reason for it. This right here, it says it's the X5S. So the X5S, S for Sony, it works with my Sony camera. So if I have my Sony camera, which I left in the car, I'm pretty sure I put it back in the car. It will attach directly to my Sony camera, and it'll work just as a regular on-camera flash, dummy flash, manual, TTL, whatever you want. Now, here's the party piece. When you take it off, it automatically becomes a remote, which you can control power up and power down directly from this little knob. So if I were starting out and I was doing off-camera lighting, and I wanted to learn how to shoot with off-camera lighting, instead of going out there and spending, let's say, $100 on an X3 Pro, another 120 on like a TT685, for example, because we do recommend that flash, that you're at, 200 and change. For $100, you could start with this, and this will get you in that mode of learning off-camera lighting. So when you take it off, and let's say this is on your camera and it stays attached, they really did think of things I would never think of. That right there is also a magnet. So you attach it to that. And just to see, it is, No. No, it is powerful enough where it's not gonna fall, at least with the weight of this. And even there, I do have to give it enough force in order for it to come off. I would feel comfortable with this to use it on a light stand. Like I said, there is no test button on this. So unlike with other triggers where you would hit test and it would fire it off, you kind of have to, once you set it up, you just have to do plus and minus, and that's essentially how it'll work. You can just give it more power, take away more power. But the beautiful thing is, like, now you have a full little setup for $100. So to me, I don't know, if you're starting out with off-camera flash, off-camera lighting, another thing that's really good is, for example, John was misled when he started photography. and he started with Canon. So the thing is, I have a flash over there that has this heavy thing. So I have a flash over there that has a Canon shoot.
Straight shoot.
So essentially, like, if let's say you do shoot with multiple systems, you can have one flash that you can switch around with. All you need is this little $20, $25 piece that you can change. So that way you don't have to get a specific flash for every single camera. I mean, it's something I would have never thought about, but I think it's a little nifty, extra little feature. It also has, and let's turn it on, a little modeling lamp. And it's actually fairly bright for a tiny little flash. So turn it on, turn it off right there. Like I said, it works as a remote, it works as a receiver. But what I mean as a remote, if you use this flash on top of your camera, you can use this to fire off a bunch of flashes in your room. So if you go right here, let me show everybody. It's this little guy right here. And if you saw our iT30 Pro video, you see the buttons and the controls are actually very similar. So let me see, I think that is, yeah, there it is. That's transmitter. I have it on channel 5 because that's the channel that I use. And yeah, there it is. You can do A, B, C. Now, the fact that, you can only see 2, it is a little bit annoying, I guess. But if you're doing just 2 flashes like that, you don't have to worry about the on-camera one. Then you can, there we go, manual. You can control the power on A and B right there. So John just asked a good question. He was asking about the iT30 to do a comparison with the iT32 as far as how bright it is. Right now, we specifically came to shoot at this time because I think the mistake that we made last time, and it was right in this area, is that we used this flash in the middle of the day. Yeah, and in the middle, we're shooting at f/22 with this little guy. It's just not enough. Yeah. This will probably be, it'll be a little bit better, but it's still not a flash that I would use in the middle of the day. These are flashes that I would use in situations like this, where it's like dusk right now. I think sunset is, right now. And I would also use like indoors, where you don't need a ton of power.
Yeah, in the middle of the day, you're gonna need
it's just,
like
you're pushing it to its limits. This will be okay. The 685, the 200 is great, and the 400 is great, but these little guys, if you're in a pinch, it'll work, but it's not the tool that I would recommend for really bright situations. This is definitely gonna be brighter than this because it's a bigger unit, but overall, the fact that you can use this off camera without having to buy an additional trigger makes it a little bit more tempting than this. Yeah, because this, you can't take it out. You need another trigger in order to fire this off. This one comes with a trigger. So to me, I would go with this one over the 30. Yeah. So another thing that they thought about is, obviously you see the little dome that's on this. With that one, we tried to put the CTO with the MagMod thing. It didn't necessarily fit perfectly. So we would have to use some sort of Velcro or something like that, go old school with it.
Gaffer's tape.
They thought about everything with this one, and I'm not just saying it because they sent this out to test out. But this, let me see, this is a half CTO, this is a full CTO. It works with a little magnet that's already attached to the unit.
Device.
It's a very well thought out little flash. The only thing you can't do is put a grid. Just having that little CTO, we're gonna play with it at night. So you can, see what it does. And you can stack gels.
Would you use something like that on the dance floor at a wedding where you'd hold it up in your left hand?
That's a good question. So we did that with the iT30 and I had the remote. So I had to use my X3 Pro. So with the X3 Pro, I did do that with this. You can definitely do it with this because you just pop it off and boom, And now instead of having it like direct on camera, even though on camera flashes kind of come in and people do enjoy it, having a little bit of directional light is nice. Like the photo that you guys are seeing right now, I was taking a photo of Gio, the DJ, and I was shooting him and I was stretching my arm out as much as I could so it wouldn't light his laptop. It would just light him around the laptop. So for that one would work if you have a trigger, an X Pro, X3 Pro, X3,
That
whatever.
one you can just pull it off.
This one you just pull off and boom, go, and then you can go back to on-camera flash and keep shooting.
Give it a little more dimension.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna use this on the next wedding. I think the next one we have is on the 14th in like a week and a half. But for now, we'll just play around with it, roaming the streets of Long Beach, and hopefully we don't get stabbed. So yeah, I would say use the tools that make sense for the assignment that you're using. For what we're doing right now, even with these string lights, I think it's gonna look really cool with just this little guy. We're gonna put this one away because it's not about this, it's about this guy today. We're gonna do a couple of shots over here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the gels because at first I wanna start with just daylight. Yeah, this little rabbit thing right here.
Oh, that's good. I like it, dude.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Get it up, baby.
It's my girl's car, in my defense. All right, so once we set it up on the light stand, we're gonna go over here. And then Alexis, we'll do a similar shot that we did last time with you with when we did it with the IT30.
Okay.
So it's gonna be in this area. The only difference is that now we're shooting, I would say at the time that we're supposed to be shooting.
Yeah.
You know, with these little flashes, it wasn't a mistake because I think a lot of people were very appreciative that they saw what these flashes can do. But I think this is made more from when it's low light like this.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so one thing that we just noticed, when I took it off, I noticed that it was letting me go past 2/50th of a second. And I'm like I'm gonna get that black line because it's past its native sync speed, right? But no, when you hit it, I went 500, obviously it's gonna look super dark in there. It automatically went into high speed sync. So if you guys haven't watched our high speed sync videos in the past, please go and watch them. There is opportunity cost. You're using high speed sync, you're gonna lose some power, but I do like that it automatically goes into high speed sync when you go past 2/50th of a second. So just a quick little thing, it's not gonna stop you when you go past 2/50th, so keep that in mind. You're gonna lose power if you go past 2/50th, but it does do high speed sync automatically when it's off the camera. Just heads up. Cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
it's cool if you understand what you're doing.
Yeah,
if you don't,
that,
you're gonna have a nightmare going, why did I lose so much? Oh!
Hey guys, so we're gonna split this video up into two different parts, and the reason for that is I don't think any of you have the patience to stare at my face for 30 minutes straight. So we decided we're gonna split it up into part one, which is the one that you guys just watched, and then part two we're gonna release on Saturday. So if you guys have any questions or anything you want me to address, I can always address it at the end, or maybe I'll make a part three, whatever. But let me know if you guys have any questions, leave them down below, and stay tuned because part two is going to be released in a couple of days. All right, thank you guys so much for watching.
There we go. That's how it should work. Cut that out.